Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year, 2025. Chill Girl Chrissy, Alderman in Ward 6, and so happy to be here with Victoria, our new senator for District 18. Welcome.
Thank you very much. And for you guys that don't know, District 18 is Manchester Wards 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the town of Litchfield, which is really cool.
We all need to knowledge up. I was like, all right, what is this? Or how are we
I
all...
love Manchester. You
Yes.
know, of course, my heart and soul I put into every day. But let me just tell you how much I love Litchfield.
Aw.
Like, they just have embraced me, and it's been awesome. And it's very similar to the town that I grew up in. So I understand the things that they're going through with their they're in a sort of a growth period right now, and trying to manage that and maintain everything that's beautiful about Litchfield, while also understanding that they need to grow a little bit in order to
protecting their values, their community as they grow.
And it's a great little community.
Well, they have the best person to help them, guide them, and fight for them.
Thank you.
And today's segment for the Chill and Heal show is about knowledging up and speaking up. And Victoria has been doing this for as long as I've known you. That's how I met you, is you've been just, how would you describe yourself?
Tenacious is the word that is usually used.
Never give up.
Never give up. Tenacity. I went, the Holy Trinity Church here has, they do, the women get together and make pierogies. It's a Polish church. And I went over there to pick up my yearly gift that I give myself is their pierogies. And to my children, because they always want me to make them, and I only make them a couple times a year because it's so labor and it's a lot.
It's a lot.
of work.
I haven't learned it. My stepmother said she was going to teach me, but you know, it's finding the time. So this year, it's finding the time.
It's just the stuffing.
Yes.
You know, if you make like ravioli or anything, it's just taking the time for the.
Well, I haven't done any of that either.
So I went over to pick them up, and one of the ladies there was like, "It was your Polish side that pushed you through that, your Polish tenacity," and I was like, "Yep." Yeah, probably. Known for being a little bit stubborn. As long as you use your powers for good.
And that's the key thing is
is
standing on our values and fighting for what is right. And you've been doing that, and you are officially our New Hampshire Senate.
Yeah, what's
Senator.
weird is so we were sworn in on December 4th, I believe it was the 4th, and our governor-elect and our executive council don't get sworn in until this week, January 8th. So it's weird. You've got about a month where your legislature is in place, but your executive boards aren't, right? So I guess it gives us time to get the bills in because they have to be in by a certain date before the governor, because the governor and executive council don't really have anything to do until they've got legislation to approve.
So have you put any bills forward?
I have.
Can you share about that?
So I can. I'm a little so many people reached out to me to co-sponsor. So when you look up, you can go to the New Hampshire General Court, and you can look up, right now they're called LSRs. They're legislative requests, basically. And so there's not a lot of language on there yet. A lot of things are still in draft form, so just give the title or the overview of what it is. And it looks like I did a lot because a lot of people asked me to co-sponsor things. They're really doing the work for those things. I'm just supporting them.
It's important to support them if you believe in them.
Right.
Because it gives it more impact.
So my bills that I put in one that will require a specific board that will be a volunteer board of business people in the community that will come together and look at 5 programs a year that the state funds to see if they're actually efficient.
Oh my, this is like unbelievable, and it's brilliant. And I was talking with a couple people about, hey, we need business people, ordinary people that have already been in our community, that has been giving back, doing extraordinary things. Those are the people that need to come to the table to help problem solve, because government clearly is not.
We know there's a lot. So New Hampshire does things well. There's not a lot of waste, but there are programs that are wasteful. Right?
Yes.
So we know sort of where to look for them, and you know this is the way things work. It might not make it to the light of day because I sent it to the governor-elect as a courtesy, right? And they may do it as an executive order, so it's in faster.
That's
So it would be
excellent.
Kelly's and not mine is basically what
Yeah.
will happen, which is fine. I don't care as long as it gets done. So you might see it as an executive order instead.
Yeah.
So that means it would be in place immediately. We wouldn't have to wait for it to get through the legislature because, as you know, it goes through, if it gets through the Senate, then it has to go through the House, and inevitably somebody changes it somewhere, so then it has to go to a committee of conference, which wouldn't happen until like May, and then we wouldn't see it in effect until probably the fall. So if she does it as an executive order, it will be immediate. So I'm
I love
100%
immediate.
behind that. Yep.
Immediate. I love that.
I put in a bill for universal education freedom accounts. I put in a bill that we're still negotiating with the Department of Health and Human Services today because they don't like it. That would make the preschool scholarships available to stay-at-home parents.
I love it.
So there are a lot of moms out there, and right now, so the federal law says 2 parents have to be working to get these scholarships. I'm saying 1 person has to be working to get those scholarships. State law says 2 do.
Oh.
So we want to change it to one parent has to be working or going to school or job searching.
Yeah.
The other parent can qualify if they're a stay-at-home parent. So they can use that money for like in-home preschool for their own kids.
That's
right?
excellent.
Because I meet a lot of moms that work and basically all of their money goes to childcare. They bring home just a little bit of their own money,
Yeah.
right? So they're missing out on all this time with their kids, but that little bit that they bring in is important to them. So if we could make it that they don't have to pay for childcare, but they basically would set up their own childcare for their own kids, right? And get $100 or $200 a week from their taxes being returned to them,
That's amazing.
right? So that's federal money that's already being used for this purpose, and we just want to expand how it's used. And we're meeting today because they're concerned that it might interfere with the federal funding, but from what we have researched, and I have a great aide, his name is Declan Donahue, shout out Declan, who helps me with some of the research on this, which is really weird. Because as a state rep, you have no help, right? And
So
as
you're
a
researching
senator,
everything
like,
on your own as a
everything.
state rep.
I mean, you've got OLS, Office of Legislative Services, that will help you, but basically you need to do the research because you need to know what's what. So Declan will go and help me. He's like, I found this, and send it to me, and we can discuss it before we,
You have
so
a
we
team.
have.
That's amazing.
It's amazing, and he's great. And he really loves this policy stuff, which is, great because I don't love the policy stuff. I like, the people stuff. So we're
The
great.
connecting with the
Yeah,
people, making things
100%.
happen.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So we're a really good team, and they put the mix together. Declan Donahue doesn't get much more Irish, so but we get along really great. So we're meeting with DHS about that later on today. Actually, I put in a bill that a lot of people are really concerned about their taxes because they went up again.
Yes.
I know you. This one's gonna be fighting for you in Manchester. Get behind her, watch her. She puts
Thank
everything
you.
on social media so you know when to show up and who to contact. I'll be by your side. I'll be there supporting you. We need to actually cut spending. We're going to be doing it on the state level. It's not going to be easy, but it has to get done, and we have to do it in Manchester too. Promises were made.
And promises need to be kept.
Yep.
And it's
So
so important.
I put in a bill because people are really confused why their taxes are going up, and the local powers that be, I'm not saying Manchester powers that be, but statewide, are turning it back to the state and saying, oh no, the state downshifted cost. Oh no, the state raised your taxes. Well, if you look at it, the state and the county portion of your property taxes come to about $3 per thousand. Might be a little bit more, depending what county you're in. Your town taxes are coming out to between $14 and $20-something per thousand, right? So that's a lot of money, and that is actually, a lot of it is your local education, which I know you guys are also trying to turn the school district back into a department. So Declan and I are working on that for you. If the
That's
enabling
amazing.
legislation isn't there, we will be putting that in.
That's excellent.
So with that, we're putting up, I put in a bill that hopefully becomes law, because it shouldn't be controversial, that you take every town and city will take the information that is right on the Department of Treasury website that shows what your county portion is, what your state portion is, what your local municipal portion is, and your education portion locally is. And it breaks it all down, and it's right there, and every city and town will have to do is put it on the front page of their website and their social media. So your taxpayers have complete immediate access to it, and they can see with a historical graph what it looks like. Now, there was some monkey business that happened, and Joyce did this here. When we had the evals come in, as people know, they got crushed on their evals, that they doubled what your value of your home is.
That's taxation right there.
Right. But because Joyce did such a poor job managing the city, a lot of businesses left. Right? So in her little shell game, she said, oh no, we're reducing your tax rate by, I think it was like $1.50 or something. But if you reduce the tax rate by $1.50, but your valuation doubled, you're still getting a tax increase. It's still going to increase your taxes.
Hello.
So the way that we
it's
do
just
that,
a game with numbers.
right? And so the way that we fix that, you've got to cut back on spending so that you can reduce property taxes. And there were many times that the state sent money back to the city that we never saw it. We never got property tax relief. She found another project to spend it on, and then you have to also increase the number of businesses that want to be here. Now, COVID did play a part in that because there are a lot of businesses that decided it's more economical for them to let their people work from home.
Yeah.
Right? So we've seen some of those businesses now turn into housing, right? Because they don't have people in the businesses anymore, which is fine. But we need to find a way to level that out so that businesses are paying their fair share. And it's not all on our citizens, because our elderly are really, really struggling here. We have very little elderly housing. So when
And why is that? Because, weren't there specific housing just for elderly, and now there is transitional housing
there's very
that has gone
expensive
into?
housing for elderly in
Okay.
Manchester. There's some that's run by the Manchester Housing Authority, but even at that, HUD keeps increasing on the elderly. So like my mother, every year she's concerned about what her rent is going to be, because they keep increasing it by like $100 a year. But Social Security isn't meeting that, and then Medicaid costs keep going up. So they really have no way to sustain their life. And if you're pushing them out of their homes with high property taxes, and there's no elderly housing for them to go to, we're going to see a crisis. And we see a lot of elderly on the streets already. But
That's not okay.
it is absolutely not okay.
Not okay
And it's
at all.
fixable. You just have to be fiscally responsible and have the guts, which I know that you do. But you're going to have to, and Joe does.
Yeah.
And Ed Sapienza does. Like, you've got some people, really good, strong people on that board, but you're going to have to tell, the people that confuse me, who I get along with, but they confuse me, Pat Long, Bill Berry, Dan O'Neill, who want to, they've each reached out to me about, like, if you're doing it at the state level about homelessness, we want to help you. Okay, you want to help here, you've got to reduce taxes. You just have to. You have to cut spending. And they, for some reason, don't get the correlation. And we have to make that really clear. And I don't think they're bad people. I think they really don't understand the correlation.
Well, when property taxes go up, it affects the homeowners, the people that own the property, and anyone that lives in those properties,
Anyone
renters.
who rents gets hit hard.
It's like, hello,
Yep.
everyone.
So
Everyone is affected.
we just have to make sure that we keep communicating.
And the prices of costs of everything for business goes up as well.
So we just have to make sure we keep communicating to people what is happening, why things need to get cut. Because they will be like, oh, you're letting the elderly die in the street. You're letting the children die in the streets. Because this is what they do anytime we try to cut back on spending. And they're just wasteful. They're wasteful things. COVID money was misused in this city. Joyce used it for employees, which it never should have been for.
It's absolutely insanity. I'm like, what was done with that money?
That one-time money was used for pet projects in the city and pet organizations, pet nonprofits, and all of that has to stop. If you are not producing,
yes,
you
that's
need
the
to
thing
stop.
is we need to see results. We need to see whatever you call it, production.
Right.
Good results. This is like insanity.
Yeah, and you just saw the homeless report came out. We have a 21% increase in homelessness. And Jean Shaheen was very surprised by that. Maybe Senator Shaheen should spend some time here.
Hello, build it and they shall come. We were talking about that.
Yep. And then, now we're seeing...
And the property taxes going up.
Yeah, and the trails are a mess again. I have people sending me pictures of drug paraphernalia in the trails, and we spent all this money, which I don't understand, Chrissy. Like, you're a nature girl. Like, I know you are.
Oh, totally.
So they take these nature trails. Brittany and I were talking about this in our show yesterday. And what they do is they widen them, and then they hit them with tar. Where's your nature trail? This is a sidewalk. They put a sidewalk in the woods. And, personally, I don't want to, I would rather be on a nature trail. I'll go up the Piscataqua River Trail because it is a nature trail. Yeah. But once it's tar, it's graffiti. It just, and it's horrible things, and you can't bring it. Once your kids can read, I stopped going down there when my kids could read because it was horrible, the things that they put down there. But, you know, we would go up to Massabesic because that was still a nature trail. And I don't want to see all these nature trails. And there's a bill right now in the State House to fund a lot more tar on these nature trails. And I just, it's
interesting.
You can keep the nature trails nice. Like, it doesn't cost a lot to keep them nice. But the tar costs a lot. And it's always near the waterways. It's a petroleum
And then people want to ride their, you know,
motorized things, right?
Yeah.
So it actually makes
Are
it
you
more
allowed?
dangerous.
You're not allowed to.
People do all kinds of
they
things
do
they're
it all
not
the time.
allowed to.
Yeah.
I mean, drugs are illegal.
True. That is true.
And if it's a smooth, it's so funny because
Oh my goodness.
on Maple Street they put in the bike trails because they wanted to make people slow down there. When I was at the meeting for that, they
bike
actually
trails.
said, we want to put in bike trails because it makes people feel less safe when they're driving. So I'm saying, so you want it to be less safe. Yeah, because then people will slow down. Well, you know, you get the reports of how many hit and runs we have in this city and how many accidents we have. It's insane. That's not what makes people slow down. So on the other side, they're going to put tar in the trails so that people go a lot faster, where people are actually walking. Like it makes, government makes no sense.
Things that make you go,
But you got to look at who's making money on the other side. It's always about who's making money on the other side.
So follow the money.
You were a huge fighter against having this whole school district debacle, almost $1 billion put on the backs of the taxpayers. I mean, you really led the charge on letting people know what was happening. I didn't know until I saw you post it, and I was like, what the heck? Because they do these things when people are busy, right?
Yes.
Christmas season.
Yes.
And they did it like in the middle of the night too, right? Let's pull this off the table in the middle of the night and get it passed when no one knows. And if you and Joe were really great about letting people know what was going on.
It's so important.
It's
you know?
so important.
And at the right time, because you know you need people to get active and then prepare. But we didn't have a lot of time. But you guys showed up.
People did show. Taxpayers showed up, and they were heard
And yes,
by
that's
you
the-
guys. And
that's
so
the
that means
beauty.
that they will stay connected and they will keep coming back, right? Which isn't what they want. Like the other side does not want people engaged and coming in. So they will stay engaged because they were heard, and they will make sure that their voices are at the table. And that was huge because so many times I've gone before the board, school board especially, and spoken. And school board, I don't know if you've attended, but
I have, and I recently went. I wasn't planning on speaking. I just wanted to be there to take it all in. And I was like, after I heard a few people speaking, I was like, oh, I was fired up. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna speak up. And so I did. I spoke up, and I gave a shout out to Mayor Baines for calling out the portables for not being acceptable and so forth. And the fact that he acknowledged it.
Yeah,
it's like,
I
this
did-
is not
yeah.
okay. And
he basically felt like he was, lied
they were, he
He
did
said
say
this
that.
was not what they showed me in the videos. This was not what I
Exactly.
thought it was going to be. I walked in, it was just like the 1970s. And as he was saying it, he was like, maybe I shouldn't be saying it. So I'm really glad that he did and he let people know. Because
Yeah.
I feel like it would
It's
have
like
been,
they got duped.
it would have been the same thing with the new schools.
Yeah.
You're-
Yeah, totally.
A
Duped.
report just came out showing them how poorly Manchester students do, and they keep looking at all the wrong things. First of all, like I used to be a big supporter of our current superintendent, not anymore. But when you go to those meetings and you speak, for some reason they let the board speak after you sit down and you can't rebut anything, so they can just say whatever lies or fallacies that they want to, and that's what sticks. Right? Because you can't go back and rebut what they've said, and they shouldn't be able to do that. That's your time to say to your elected officials what's on your mind, and that's it. If they want to have a conversation, let's have some roundtable conversations about education. I've tried to get some going; they won't show up, and let's actually hear what people have to say about it, where their concerns really lie. Because I can tell you, parents don't care about what the building looks like. They're worried about the violence in the schools, their kids getting bullied, and the fact that they're not prepared for school, for life outside of school.
And that's really not okay. And that's where the funding needs to go, is inside, and the resources for the teachers and the students. And and not taking away a park. Taking away a park is just unacceptable.
It is, especially not part of the city.
And then let's face it, how long does construction last?
Well, those kids. So the kids that this would have impacted were the kids that started school during COVID.
Yes,
And then
they've already been masked for way too long.
Yep. Now they were shifted into these aluminum
Tin
right?
cans.
And then they're going to be living in those on a construction site. That's going to be their whole elementary school career.
Yeah.
It's all wrong on so many different levels.
It's wrong.
They're not putting the kids first. Again, look at who's making money on the other side, and all of this.
Yeah. Who is making money on the other side?
Go look at Manchester Proud, because that's where all of this comes from. Our school board doesn't make hardly any decisions.
I
It's
think there was
Manchester
a lot
Proud.
of Manchester Proud that showed up to the alderman meetings, speaking out on how much they support. Do they even live in Manchester?
Well, I know that
is my question.
The head of the MEA, Manchester Education Association, that spoke does not live in Manchester, because she even said, where I live, they just did this, and yes, our taxes went up, but the looks on the kids' faces when they saw that new building. Okay, but who are we raising?
Yeah.
Are we raising kids that we want to think the next shiny thing is the best thing, or people or kids that understand the value of what's in front of them, right?
And there is no money trees in the backyard.
No.
And we need to work hard and do our best.
But it hurts the families of those kids.
Yeah.
Because they're really impacted by when the taxes go up, right? Then it gets harder to feed your family. But the whole debacle, they wouldn't say what was in phase 2. Everything was a super secret. It was going to be this much, but then it was going to be this much, and the whole thing was just insane. I'm just so glad that we stopped it. I don't know that we've stopped it forever, but I hope that we've stopped it.
Well, I think it's really, really important that everyone keeps coming and speaking up, because it's still there.
I know.
I mean, they really want to push it through. And to me, it's just insanity.
It is insane. And
we don't need to tear down a good building.
Let's look at the community school aspects of this, where they're bringing in more social workers, they're bringing more administrators. If you break down the school district budget, it's going to show you that very little of the increase has gone to the teachers or into the classroom for materials. It's going to show an increase in administrators and non-teaching staff. And it isn't okay. So if we, can get people for the bill, it would be a graph on the front, the website, and it would show you the spending over the years, and it would show you broken down what the education costs are on the state level and what they are on the local level, and people can really start to see where their tax dollars are going. And then, they can delve into the budgets and things like that if they want to. But people are going to actually have to somebody said, this bill's okay, but they should have to send out statement letters every time there's a budget. No, people also have responsibility to show up. You have responsibility to know what's going on, right? So hopefully that it shouldn't hit any financial barriers, because the information's already there, and it won't cost the IT person anything to put that on the website.
It's just putting it up there.
Yeah.
Being completely transparent and accountable to the citizens, us taxpayers. I think it's. I'm excited for you to be up.
Oh, and I put in a bill.
Yes.
Did you know that in the state of New Hampshire, if someone murders somebody, they can profit off of that murder?
No, I didn't know that. Oh my God.
They can't. Hopefully, 6 months from now, they won't be able to, because I put in a bill that would restrict that, so they wouldn't be able to.
That's amazing.
Or if they did like Harvey Montgomery's father, if he did a tell-all, then because of First Amendment rights, we can't keep him from doing it. But what we can do is set up a system where
the money goes.
Other people could sue him for that money.
Okay.
So other harm.
The victims.
Yeah, can sue him for that money and basically make sure he doesn't get anything. So it's not worth it for him to do it.
So many things to think about. All the different angles, and it's about justice, real justice.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to follow legislation, just go to the New Hampshire General Court website. There's usually a calendar up there that will show what's being heard in which committee, House committees or Senate committees. You can actually sign in and submit hearing information for each hearing based on if you support it or you don't. It goes right to the committees. And you can be really proactive. I know it's hard for people to get up to the State House, but you can be proactive online and pay attention and let your legislators know how you feel about bills that are coming up.
And it is great to go up there and speak. It's a little nerve-wracking, but once you do it once, it's very
still get
freeing.
Even
and it feels good to be a part of.
Just know you get a friend
sharing.
in the Senate. I'll be on the House Education Committee and Ways and Means.
Which
you
is
have a friend in me.
unbelievable.
Just come up, testify.
So with everything, 2024 was like amazing, ups and downs and everything. And so I actually started this show January 26, 2022. And it's hard to believe. So I wasn't on MCTV, but I was on the radio, and I did it. And it was just because I was a mom, a concerned business person, what's going on, let's connect and talk and grow and learn. And to think that this is 3 years later,
that's awesome.
Is amazing.
Congratulations,
Thank
Chrissy.
you. I just can't even believe it. I became an alderman because I wanted to be a part of the solutions. Yeah. And you're a senator now.
I was
like
just
amazing.
I was
and
just
you've
a
been
pissed
fighting.
off PTA mom when I first put my name on a ballot because I was really upset about things that were happening in the schools. And
So anything is possible, and it's we don't know everything, and we're open and we're learning and we're growing, but we're willing to fight for what is right.
This is an election year in Manchester.
Yes,
and we really need school board members really badly. So if you'd like to run for school board, reach out to us. We can let you know how to do it. And we need people that are looking out for the kids and not looking out for other organizations or powers that be.
And Nori and Ken Tassi, and we have I know we only have 2 minutes left, but I just want to say thank you for coming on, for being the fighter that you just leading the way.
Thank you.
For all of us.
And
not giving up. Thank you.
I mean, you are, I don't know if people realize that you come off as very sweet and soft-spoken.
I'm not going to back down when I have
she does not back down. She is a fighter. She's always out there for the people. And she just, oh my God, the hits that they took at you this last year.
It's
and
disgusting.
You just
But that's okay. You know what? It's because I care. That is why I do this. And, for my love for people and my family and my community.
And Manchester's very lucky to have you.
Oh my God. And Manchester's so lucky to have you. And all the, the shout out to our whole crew. You know what? It's just about really connecting. And let me just read this quick little thing. I always said we need to hug it out in the power of hugs. Oxytocin is often called the love hormone and is released when we cuddle or bond. It's the reason why being hugged feels so good. And so hugging it wards off illness, it makes you feel good, it cuts down on stress, it cultivates happiness and gratitude. And when I first started this, I was like, all right, I need to do a little shout out, because sometimes it's like the life of politics, the life of everything is just a little too much. And we have to remember the simple things of connecting and hugging.
And I will say this, when your kids get to an age where they're like, don't hug me, that's when you hug them more.
Yes.
That's when you hug them more. You let them make the faces and all the things and make sure you hug them right through it because eventually they come around the other way.
Yeah, it's so important. So share the hugs, share the love, and let's make 2025 great again.
Awesome. Love you.
I love you too. Oh.